Hey, Mark.
Hey, John, how are you today?
Doing all right. It's Saturday. Hold on, I got to get my specs. Don't ever get old. September 13th. So this will be our 5th episode of The Call, Gabe.
Yes.
So we're coming to you today with heavy hearts. Most of you already know that Charlie Kirk was assassinated on Wednesday. Wednesday, was it?
Yes. Well, he was on a college campus in Utah.
Yeah. So Charlie Kirk was just to give you a synopsis on who he was from my perspective. I was introduced to Charlie Kirk a couple of years ago, I think, just by the random clicks on YouTube maybe. But I've been into apologetics and associated with my Christian faith for quite some time, and Charlie Kirk came on the scene with a vengeance, I would say, 10 years ago. I really didn't know about him much until probably, I'd say, 2 years ago. I can't remember the exact moment when I saw him and had the mental picture in my mind of like, wow, this guy's good. But I do remember that this year in April 25th, he was on the Jordan Peterson podcast. And if you haven't seen that podcast, that's worth seeing. It's about an hour and a half long, and he describes who he is and what his mission is. And, Peterson, they go back and forth about questions and ideas and basically lays out his mission from his point of view.
Yeah, we was listening to it earlier today on our way to another event, and they was on the subject of abortion. And my opinion is, I think he tore her up. I mean, he pretty well set it in place with the scientific method of what goes on in an abortion.
Yeah.
Of whatever you want to call it, a fetus or whatever. But
I just saw, another one that he did. Speaking of the word fetus, I was just watching another one where he was talking to a group of females about abortion, and he asked one of them, like, what does fetus mean? Because it's a Latin word. It means little baby.
I'm not Latin.
Yeah, but it means like growing baby. Like it means the same thing.
I mean,
we use
it has a heartbeat. I mean,
yeah.
And the female, was it Peterson? He was bantering back and forth with?
No, it was an older video it was a different video but it was Kirk talking to him.
But he set her in her place with the scientific what goes on through an abortion. I never heard it put that way.
I mean, his point was, I think, solid. I mean, how could you? I guess you could refute this, but like the thing that makes you and me unique is our DNA.
Mm-hmm.
Like that code is. It's the probability that DNA will be made again is like almost zero.
No, I mean, as family members as we are, we have DNA strains that matches to say that we are members of the same family.
Yeah.
But our DNA is our DNA. It cannot be duplicated. Like you said, it will be a real hard, strange fact if that was duplicated somewhere along the line.
Right. And when does that happen? When does it made? It's conception. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's hard to refute. And this is just one example of like the legacy of Charlie Kirk is, what is it? It's manifold. One is like what we're talking about. He was very articulate and he was very well learned, even though he was not a college graduate, which is, I would say, a commendation to him.
Yeah. You have to remember, he's been on the scene for 10 years, I know of, like you research, but the gentleman was only 31.
Yeah, 31.
I mean, he was only 31.
Right. He also, I mean, he was in tune with the younger generation. He went on to college campuses. I mean, part of his mission was to go out and engage with the university campuses because that's where the fight is. I mean, young people are,
the most impressionable.
Yes, they haven't formed their lives
There's
their
still
identities aren't fully formed. I would say when you're young and going to college, you're trying to figure it out.
I mean, even in today's world, when you say your identities is not figured out, this generation is really messed up with that.
Yeah.
I mean, it used to, when I was growing up in high school 45, 46 years ago, you had a male and a female. This stuff in schools today was never even thought of.
Yeah. He even mentioned in one of his in one of his debates or one of his presentations, he was talking about that very thing. And he said, 10 years ago when I started this, transgenderism and, transgender ideas and problems and issues weren't even heard of. Nobody talked about it at all. And all of a sudden, through the last 10 years, it's just reared its head and has become this super important issue.
The mainstream media is the devil, is the demon.
The devil. Yeah. There's a so he was articulate, right?
Yes, very.
And he engaged with the university system, and he was on college campuses to engage with the students there, people that are trying to figure it out, right?
Yes, he was just he was he was telling them, exercising his beliefs and foundations to them. Hopefully they could grasp it and see what the Christian of nowadays has to offer the younger generation. I mean, what we have to offer, what God has to offer, and what your local church has to offer you is extremely important, I believe.
Yeah. It's a solid alternative to what's being offered by the left or by the
left almost
the world,
is like
let's
almost
say.
the left is like the I can't remember if it's a parable in the Bible or not, but build on the rock as a strong foundation, or you build in the sand as a weak foundation, and over time the water comes in, ruins or deteriorates your wood and your foundation, and you fall in. That's what the left is like.
Yeah. So speaking of deterioration, so Charlie knew that it was utmost importance to get to the college and university campuses because they have been overrun with progressive ideology over the last 50 years, I'd say.
Students on campus, and look at the staff and the professors.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some of them just as bad as, well, they are bad.
Well, I mean, in my own personal experience going to college, when I came back from Afghanistan, I went to WU, and when I was studying there as a student, I had already formed a lot of my life's, ideas on the way things were from, because I was older. I mean, it's a process that takes some time, and so how old was I when I started there in 2003? 30. So I was in my 30s probably, but I was born in 1971. So that's
but you lived the life beforehand, serving our country in the service.
Yeah, but so what I'm saying is that time spent in service of the country, I did form opinions and an identity that I brought with me to WU. When you're in high school and you come out of high school and some people do, like my wife, Rebecca, God bless her, she was raised in a Bible-believing family, and they went to church and they were serious about it. Mm-hmm. And she was involved in her youth group. She was involved with the church and the community. And she was also involved with, her school and sports and things like that. So she wasn't didn't isolate herself within the church, but that was her identity. So when she went off to college, and she had an identity that was well ingrained, I would say, by the time she went to college. But most people don't have that, I would say.
No, like same family, we had little Graham.
Yeah.
He was on us constantly. When I was younger, my sister Bonnie, I can remember walking across the street and her toting me to Sunday school on Sundays. And, older you get, you're a little bit more rebellious. The rebellion sets in. So I knew I loved God. I knew I wanted to serve God. but I didn't take it the final step.
Yeah.
A lot of years I've missed in between, and of course you heard my story, and they did on the very first one, but I knew my identity no matter what I was doing. I mean, I believed in God. I knew the church was important. I knew what Lil Graham was telling me was the truth, and I just finally made that step. You know, I spent 28 years in law enforcement and retired. And, you know, when you retire from the service, you get a whole nother
Like a perspective
of things.
Yeah.
And, you're always looking around. You're always checking your back. Even now, 4 years after I retired, when I go to a restaurant, I'm always facing the door.
Right.
I mean,
it's part of your training, right?
Yeah, and
it becomes natural.
And it's just natural. You do that. But now, you know, I dealt with a lot of people during 28 years, and some bad and a lot of good. But I knew I was going to make the step, and I finally did it. And you know, people like Charlie Kirk, people like Lil Graham, people like your dad, John, preaching to me on hunting trips. They knew what they was talking about. They knew what they wanted. And I think down deep, they knew what you wanted too, but you just needed that. I needed that push to go. And like I said once before, that men's group on Monday was the final straw. 4 weeks in, I was hooked.
Yeah, praise God for that.
Yeah, and Mondays is great. Our group is like family. Wednesdays, the co-ed Bible study and prayer group, man, they're like family too. I've learned so much about myself in them two groups that I would never learn 28 years on the street.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've learned a lot too from you and from the other people. The discussions that we have there are just, you know, it's finally a group of men that I don't feel judged.
No.
You know, I don't feel like I'm trying to prove anything. I just feel like, you know, I'm there to learn. I'm there to contribute if I can.
And support.
Yeah. So it's like, it's good. The Monday night. So if you're a guy watching this and you have a Monday night at 6:00 free,
come join us.
Yeah, it's because it's good. We just talk about all this stuff, kind of like the stuff we're talking about today.
And get back to Charlie. He was at campuses Monday night. I mean, he was trying to draw them to where we are on Monday nights.
Yeah.
With his beliefs, his foundation. And you know, like I was on vacation when it happened. When you called me on the phone, was telling me about it. You know, I was driving at the time, so I really couldn't think until I got back to the room. That young man was assassinated for his beliefs and his foundation of what he believed in.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a crying shame. You cannot have the freedom of speech. It tells me now, us as Christians, we are at war.
There's no doubt about it.
We need to stand up. We need to fight. We need to have a revival. We need to set things straight now before it gets out of hand.
That's right. So we'll dig into some of the biblical aspects of this warfare.
Yes.
But like one of the things I'd like to say before we move on to that is that to complement with what Mark's saying here, Charlie armed himself with knowledge about the arguments and a way to defend his faith. Scripture says in 1 Peter, that we should be able to formulate a defense of what we believe in, but to do it with humility and love. Are those the two words that he used? It's kind of like that. And that's exactly what Charlie did. Like, he went to these campuses to combat the ideology of the progressive and atheistic movement in this country. And his battle was with ideas. And he had good ideas. This is one of the things that I think that we've got going for us in our corner. Like, God exists. And it's really impossible to disprove that. And there are good arguments that he's out there. And so if this is a suggestion for you guys out there watching. If you train yourself, not in the formal logic of the whole thing, but just become aware of things enough to where you can respond and recognize nonsense when you hear it and respond with the truth, then that will go a long way. We're not advocating violence. We're not advocating a physical harm in response to this.
No, when I said we're at war, we need to put on our armor of God.
Yeah.
I did not mean go out and start cracking some heads.
Yeah, I knew what you meant.
I meant just to make that straight. We're not condoning any violence. What Charlie was doing, like John just said, he was combating the ideas. He was not combating the individual themselves, him or her. He was trying to refute their ideas to set them straight on the biblical ideas that his beliefs was.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure he did not hate that person. He was on the podcast. I'm sure he loved them because God tells us we have to love everybody.
Yeah.
Love our neighbors as we love ourselves. But yes, I mean, he was just doing it with his intellect.
Right. And the thing, I think one of the things that he had going, so he was very talented at doing that, number one. And so it was difficult for these college students to come in with progressive ideas and atheistic point of view and defeat him with an argument because you know what, to be honest with you, I'm in the Christian camp. There's no doubt about that, as Mark is as well.
Yeah, we are all.
And so, but the foundation of those arguments is rock solid. Like it's a combination of truth and common sense. It works. Yeah, so he had those arguments in his back pocket, and he could bring them out and wield them at will.
His belief started at the bottom of the cross.
Yeah. Yeah, he was a believer through and through.
Yeah. I mean, he wasn't flinging bullets or fists. He was using the foundation of his beliefs through the good word of the Bible to refute the argument. And usually he won. In the end, he was the winner.
Right.
And you know, after I was watching videos yesterday, after I got home, you know, that's sad. If you have a 31-year-old male, female, whatever it could be, whoever it might be at the time, was sitting there talking. I don't know how long he was in.
You mean the person he was talking to at the time when the shot came out?
Yeah, I don't know what he was talking about because I don't know. I mean, but the poor guy had to go out there with a Kevlar vest under his shirt because there's a target on his back. I'm not saying it was on there just for that day or if there was something leaked that something might happen. But the guy, I would say not even the guy, the coward who pulled the trigger didn't have enough guts to go speak or try to refute in person. He took an easy way out and took a good Christian man out, a father and a husband out, because the guy with the trigger and the gun was a coward.
That's right. 100% coward. Like if they can't win with good ideas, then they'll just kill you.
They want to cheat.
Is that what they're trying to say?
They want to cheat and take the easy way out because they can't do it any other way.
So what do you think the results are? Like, you think this has lit a fire under the, the usual response? First of all, I'd like to say that the response of the conservative side of the house to this assassination, this grotesque act of violence, was it riots in the street?
No.
Was it burning cars? Was
Nope.
it throwing rocks at police?
Nope.
What was it? Was it violence in turn?
No.
It wasn't. It was like, well, sadness, part of it, right? But I think they have awoken the beast in some sense. Like they have lit a fire under the conservative movement like they've never seen before. It's coming.
We was at Heroes, and what was it called this morning?
Was it Veterans and Heroes?
Yeah, something like that. About
Marshall County event.
For our local veterans, but I am not disrespecting any veteran out there. John's a veteran. My dad was a veteran, served in World War II. But could this happen? Could this sense of act of violence on Wednesday? Could this be the uprising for the Christians that need to fight back? Could it be our modern day Pearl Harbor?
Like the
Day of Infamy?
The call, yeah. You know, ironically, when the Japanese were flying back, Yamamoto, was it?
Yamamoto.
Yeah, it said, "We have awoken the sleeping giant." And I think that's happening, yeah.
I think it did.
Yeah. I was fired up. You know, I know you were fired up.
I know
too.
you was when you called me on the phone.
Because I made the mistake, actually, of looking at the actual footage of the shot, which probably wasn't a good idea because it didn't look good at all. Well, I suppose let's talk about the biblical point of view here. We're going to offer you a potential reasoning for why things are the way they are. Our education institutions have been a slow drift away from our founding principles, which happen to be Christian, by the way, for quite some time now. They took prayer out of the schools in the 60s, and that was just the beginning.
Pledge of Allegiance was taken out. I think some schools have put it back in. But that's a downfall.
The root cause, I would say, of the issues that we're seeing in our society is a direct consequence of giving up on God.
Yeah, sin separates us from the God.
Yeah. And so this slow drift of our institutions away from the founding principles of this country, the Christian worldview, so to speak, leads to the expected outcome is that a student will come out of college persuaded to believe that God doesn't exist. Naturalism is the right way to go, or atheism is the right way to go. And so here Paul talks about this. Let's read this. So this is Romans chapter 1. I am not ashamed of the gospel, because it is the power of God for the salvation of everyone who believes, first for the Jew, then for the Gentile. For in the gospel, righteousness from God is revealed, a righteousness that is by faith from first to last. Just as it is written, the righteous will live by faith. The wrath of God is being revealed from heaven against all the godlessness and wickedness of men who suppress the truth by their wickedness. And here we're getting to it. Since what may be known about God is plain to them, because God has made it plain to them. For since the creation of the world, God's invisible qualities, his eternal power and divine nature, have been clearly seen, being understood from what he has been made, so that men are without excuse. So here, Paul, there's a bunch up front that I'm going to have to. Here, Paul gives one of my favorite couple of verses in the whole Bible is him talking about nature and science and the heavens above, and it's, when you look out and you see creation in all of its complexities, your brain can't help but going, wow. You know what I mean? And admiring his handiwork, because it's there. And he puts it on our hearts. He's the creator of all of it.
Yeah, we discussed that, I think, on 2 shows ago, John chapter 1.
Yeah. That's right.
It wasn't a Big Bang theory, like people say. It was God.
Yeah.
He created everything.
So here's the problem coming right now. So Paul just laid out the the argument that nobody has an excuse, because God has created this place, and we can recognize him through what he has made. Okay. For although they knew God, they neither glorified him as God nor gave thanks to him, but their thinking became futile, and their foolish hearts were darkened. Although they claimed to be wise, they became fools, and exchanged the glory of the immortal God for images made to look like mortal man, and birds and animals and reptiles. Therefore, God gave them over in the sinful desires of their hearts to sexual impurity, for the degrading of their bodies with one another. They exchanged the truth of God for a lie, and worshipped and served created things rather than the Creator, who is forever praised. Amen. Because of this, here's the consequence. Because of this, God gave them over to shameful lusts, even Their women exchanged natural relations for unnatural ones. In the same way, the men also abandoned natural relations with women and were inflamed with lust for one another. Men committed indecent acts with other men and received in themselves the due penalty for their perversion. Furthermore, since they did not think it worthwhile to retain the knowledge of God, he gave them over, and here's the final consequence, he gave them over to a depraved mind, to do what ought not to be done. They have become filled with every kind of wickedness, evil, greed, and depravity. They are full of envy, murder, strife, deceit, and malice. They are gossips, slanderers, God-haters, insolent, arrogant, and boastful. They invent ways of doing evil. They disobey their parents. They are senseless, faithless, heartless, ruthless. Although they know God's righteous decree that those who do such things deserve death, they not only continue to do these very things, but also approve of those who practice them. And that is what is happening in this country. We have gotten away from acknowledging God for who he is, the creator of the universe, the creator of us. And we don't give thanks to him. We don't give, like, I'm speaking in general. Some of us try. I try. I know Mark tries. I mean, this is what, so he gave them over to a depraved mind. In some translations of the Bible, it says reprobate mind. Mm-hmm. The inability to distinguish anymore between good and evil. And so you see these progressive ideas that come out, and they're twisted. Yes, they want to be loving. They want to be caring. They want to be tolerant. They want to be all these things. But they twist it in such a way to make it, it's like they're doing evil, but they don't even know they're doing evil. This guy that shot Charlie Kirk thought he was doing some good. And maybe some of you out there think that that's what he actually did, some good. And this is just part of the sickness. What do you think, Mark?
You're exactly right. I mean, anyone who thinks that way, that pulls a trigger to assassinate, it was murder. It's assassination, which is, of course, he did. But you're messed up in the head. I mean, your heart is hardened. It's black. You're not on the right side. I mean, you are not on the right side. I mean, that crap is everywhere. I mean, sports, music, schools, universities. It's everywhere you look. There is factions that is out there trying to tear down Christianity, which means they will do anything to hurt you. They will do anything to embarrass you. They will do anything to try to get their point across, but their point is wrong. If you read the Bible from front page to back page, that is a book of absolute truth. There is no lies in there. It is the living word. And them people on that side of the fence need to sit down and take whatever 6 months, 9 months to a year to read the Bible. Then they might have a different outlook on situations instead of believing the crap that people is teaching them and trying to instill in their brains, like almost like brainwashing, really.
I think there's a reasonable argument to be made here that, it's all God. In Romans 1, Paul tells us that there comes a point where God finally says, okay, figure it out yourself. Do it yourself. With somebody that resists, and he finally, gives up. And I tell you, that is not a place that we want to be as a country.
No, if you don't like humidity now, man, it's ain't going to be no treat down there for eternity.
Yeah. So I, for one, and I know, Mark, you support this too, it's time to rise up. The conservative Christian community in this country has, for decades, sat idly by the church and let things happen. There's a lot of discussion that needs to happen about why. Why did we sit back as a collective and permit time and again for our laws to be changed and for the slow decay of the Christian values that underlie our communities and our families and our society from the beginning, how to let that be drawn away. But now it's time to rise up. And what I mean is that you out there listening to this, maybe, it's time for you to get engaged in the arguments, to not let the professor at the university steamroll your children. Get involved in learning the truth and learning how to speak about it to your friends and family.
I mean, you have to understand, we're fired up because of what happened on Wednesday, but we love everybody. We love everybody. We want you to come here to church and hear what the truth is. I don't want to persuade you. I don't want to browbeat you. Come to church. Let you decide yourself after you hear people that's been transformed, myself, John, by God, and put us in this position here and other positions within this church. Let you see for yourself what God can do for you and what your local church can do for you. This church here, I've been preaching for the last 2 or 3 weeks. This church is working for a living God, and we are going to be an example for our community and other churches that we are still working for the living God, and we are carrying on his ministry in today's ages.
That's right, brother. Yeah, so you're welcome here anytime. So let's go through a list of when they can come. It's Sunday morning at 10:30.
10:30.
Saturday at 5.
5.
Monday night.
6.
Wednesday night.
Wednesday morning at 10.
And then Wednesday night.
For women's group, it's Wednesday at 6, yes.
And then there's also the peacemakers.
Yeah. It's not a registration fee. They're all free of charge. Come, sit down with us, ask questions, talk to us. Let us explain to you how we got where we are at today in our lives. You might be surprised of our stories before we came to God. I mean, you might just shake your head and say, my Lord, if he changed him, there is hope for me.
Yeah.
That's what we want to communicate to you. There's hope. You're not lost. You are loved. You are wanted. We want you here in this church or any church. Just go to church.
Yeah. Get involved in Christian community. Crack open that Bible. It may have been a while, but crack it open. Take a look.
Read 3 or 4 pages a day. And there's more than you did the day before.
You know, Mark, we have the truth on our side. God's design for this world, the way he built it, the rules that he set in place in the beginning when he created it, was the order that was the best.
Yeah.
When he created us, he said, when he created all the things, he said, well, that's good, and then that's good, and that's good. And then he created us, and he said, wow, that's real good. That's very good, he said. And then our relationship with other people. And you find a wife and you have a family. Those kinds of things that Charlie Kirk advocated for are the most natural things you could possibly do in as a person and the most fulfilling as well. So let's remember Charlie Kirk and get busy after this.
Yeah, God rest your soul, Charlie, and thank you for the 10 great years that you went out, preached your beliefs in your foundation, which had an impact on John and myself. It's sad, very sad, that a young life was cut down like he was on Wednesday, because, like I said earlier in the podcast, because that kid was a no-down, dirty coward.
That's right. So, hey, this is the podcast. This is the COG podcast, episode 5, signing off. God bless.
God bless, and see you next week.